on here. Okay. To start with, basically, this is a bit of a hodgepodge. This is later stuff that's been received. And more payphones. Beautiful chromed NE233, electric 233 telephone. This is one of the extensions on the North Star system in the other room. Of course, I've got one in several rooms.
I love it too. I just noticed you have these special test coins for the GTE models.
Right. And that poster up in the corner actually was a giveaway shortly after Nortel got into producing printed circuits. And it actually shows the printed circuit and a piece of the silicone wafer.
And a Stroger switch, is this just like a little display
I'll tell
unit
you
in here?
exactly what that is.
Okay.
I'll have to demonstrate it. I can plug it in here. I don't mind. This is not too much of a thing to get all. The other ones, I got so many safety things on them. It takes a long time to turn up. Where's that hole? There we go. Okay. Back in the old days, this was used in factories and stores to call employees. Each employee would have their own employee number, and this would be used to call them. So if you want to go for employee 312, that didn't work out quite right, but okay. Okay. Oh, of course, it's only 9. 2. So there's now the 5. That will drop now because I hung it up.
Right.
But they could have any number of gongs around the plant.
Yes.
And they'd be heard. And the same thing with stores. When I got out of high school, one of my first jobs was working with Eaton's in Toronto, and they used these. And that came out of a fellow's collection. He's worked for Bell Canada and took it out of the Sunbeam plant up in Toronto many, many years ago. And they were installing a new key system. This thing was locked on. It was ringing constantly. The manager says, while you're here, can you figure out what's causing that god-awful noise? And so obviously it hadn't been used for many, many years. And he had no idea what it was. Anyway, he searched for it. He found it. He disabled it. It was just a matter of the rotor was stuck in the switch. So,
What a neat thing. It's, it's taking the telephone equipment and adding a capability to it, making it also more rare than a lot of the phone equipment you have in here, because this is specialized.
A lot of traffic lights were controlled by Stroger switches.
Wow.
There are a lot of applications they can be used for, and were used for.
That's really, really
And I had no diagrams or anything when I started out with this. I was able to find a very basic diagram of it, and then got it repaired it, and got it working. There's something you don't see a lot in the States. This is called a Northern Telecom display phone.
The early precursor to a video call?
Well, no.
No?
It was a combination terminal and telephone. It included a 1200 baud telephone modem.
Okay.
It included a phone number book. It included phone memories. All sorts of stuff. It was the thing for the executive who had everything to get. And they get that. That'd be their pride and joy on the office. Of course, it was pre-computer.
Sure.
So, and next to it is a conference set that would be set on a boardroom table, and it's got 2 microphones that work with it, could be set up at any end of the table, and they could, for example, Spokane could connect to Chicago and have a meeting across the boardroom tables and the telephones.
This is cute too, a little desk payphone.
They use those quite a bit in bars and so on.
Right.
That big black thing behind you, and also the dial version down on the floor, they're mine telephones.
Oh my goodness.
Or explosive atmosphere.
I was going to say, they had to have been wired just so, and shielded and insulated.
And this also is another type, and that's a Northern Telecom.
Wow.
That one was made for Northern Telecom.
And they're all in such beautiful condition too, all the phones you have here.
So I try to keep them in good shape. Those ones are ones I'm still working on, or have things to do, or just don't have room to put. Some more phones. This one on the left is interesting. I saw dozens of those back at Brockville when I was a kid. Brockville, for many years, had automatic electric. Then they switched over to Bell equipment. So all the old Stroger equipment came out of the homes, wound up in people's basements. Well, it's taken me 25 years to find another one. Unfortunately, I guess over the years they all disappeared. I've only seen a record of one in existence still. And that's one of them. There's another old Stroger system. You've seen these, I'm sure.
Yes,
the 11 digit.
That is
I've never seen that.
amazingly rare.
That's 11 digits. And the 11th digit was called long distance. After a while they discovered, well, that could be done just with a zero, with the O anyway.
Right.
Call the operator. But that is the telephone system that Alvin Stroger developed.
Would you mind operating the dial for one or two digits just to hear?
No problem. I could lift that, otherwise it won't.
Listen to that.
Oops, we're stuck.
Nice sounds.
See, it locks.
That's
when
clever,
when
sure.
You're hanging up, prevent people from using it. And that is a, well, basically they use that on farm telephone lines. And that's got 10 lines. It's essentially the same switchboard as the big one in there.
It does
only
look
a
similar.
smaller version.
And then, to get the notification of who's...
They use the drops the same as they do on it.
One of the things we learned of interest when we were at the Ellsworth Museum with the old magnetophones, how the phone call, when it concluded, you had to then ring off.
You were supposed to ring off.
But if you ever watch films of that era, they never ring off.
No, they never do.
Because it wasn't theatrical.
Of course, I can tell you honestly, looking at my memories from before, people didn't ring off here either.
Yeah.
They just, well, she knew. She'd check every so often if the line was still in use. Well,
That's what we've heard, because we've asked other people about their memories, and they're like, I never ring off.
yeah, most people didn't. Okay, now, would you like to see part of the trove upstairs?
Absolutely.
That is an interesting board there. You'll see, there are 2 in existence that I know of. That was made by Northern Electric for the military. And it is a 10-line cordless switchboard.
Wow.
Magneto switchboard.
Oh yes, there's the handle right there.
Yeah. And I had Keith Helmax is the only other one that has one. And his doesn't work. His is missing parts. And he's the only other person too that has one of these. The system for calling people. He's the only one that has one of these too.
Oh, you can open that up?
Yes. Yeah, that's a little tricky to close it because it
Sure.
catches on the power supply, but basically
Boy,
it's
that's
the
lovely.
switch, and this is a rotary Stroger switch.
Mm-hmm.
And then this just basically counts off
Yep.
as you do it, and it controls this micro switch here, which rings that.
Right.
There's a power supply, give 48 volts for the strode your switch, there's a power supply that gives 12 volts for the buzzer, or for the gong.
I just a couple months ago finished restoring an old electromechanical pinball machine.
Oh yeah.
So I got really familiar with all the mechanical switches like you see right there.
Which it is quite amazing, isn't it?
It is. Without a single piece of actual electronics, this thing is like a fancy computer.
You darn right.
That could, it's the bingo
It's
style,
amazing
so
what
it
they
had to
do.
calculate payoffs and everything else.
Yeah.
Got it working completely 100%.
Now, do you want to see some
I'd love
goodies?
to. Would you like me to lead the way?
Yeah, you can